crafters, welcome back to Crafting with Nana. I have my video all ready to go and realized I hadn't done an intro. So this is our last Dobby video and it's a little bit long, so I'm not going to take any time here with the introduction. I hope you've had a good time, and if you want, check out my other playlists, see if there's something there you'd like to undertake. And as always, please give me a thumbs up on these videos and leave a comment. I will see you next time and enjoy the video. Okay, to start the legs, we're going to start with a magic circle. Our pattern says to start by chaining 2, but I prefer the magic circle method. So we'll go ahead and utilize that technique for the beginning of our legs. And if this is difficult, go ahead and click that card up above and watch the quick video on making a magic circle that's just dedicated to that magic circle. So we're going to chain our 2, and then we're going to do 6 single crochets right back here in this circle. Then once you have those 6 single crochets in, we'll just pull the paper clip end and close that circle up tight. And then we'll do 2 single crochets in each stitch around, ending up with 12 when we're done. And at this time, that paper clip end should kind of nicely fall out of your way. Almost every part of Dobby has started the same way, so it should be pretty simple for you to do this. Although it is hard sometimes to just stitch within a stitch or do a couple stitches in one. So be patient. The next round will be much easier. Halfway there. Okay, that was our last 2. We should have 12 single crochets. And now we're going to single crochet in the next 3. And then we'll single crochet 2 together 3 times. So remember, we're making 2 stitches into 1. And again, we've done this on the other patterns as well. We're creating that cup effect. This is our 3rd. And then we're going to, going on to round 4, we're going to single crochet 2, or 1 stitch in each of the next 2 stitches. Sorry about that, I got distracted. So round 4, we're going to single crochet 1 stitch in each of the next 2 stitches, and then we are going to single crochet 2 together again, and we're going to repeat that 2 together 3 times. So here's 1, kind of pull it apart to make sure that you are actually going into the appropriate stitch. It really gets tight in here. And when you finish, you should have 6 stitches around. And then for the next 4 rows, you will simply crochet in each stitch. And it's just not very big of an opening here. So you're just going to crochet all the way around in each stitch for 4 rounds. And I think I'll go ahead and put a marker in there so I know where I'm starting and stopping, and that way I'll know when my 4 rounds are completed. Even my marker doesn't want to go through my yarn. It's a little bit difficult to get in there, so okay, so that's 1 round. That would be round 5. We're just going to keep repeating that for 3 more rounds. Should go fairly quickly, but it is hard to get your crochet hook in sometimes, so just be patient. 6 stitches. That was round 6. Round 7. And then round 8. And that will complete our leg. And you're going to leave a length of yarn and snip it fairly long because we're going to use this piece of yarn to sew our leg onto the body. So go ahead and to finish it off, remember, you're just going to pull that last stitch all the way through. And that completes one leg. I'm going to stop the video here and let you go ahead and rewind it to do the second leg. That will keep this video from being extremely long. Now that we have both legs done, the first thing that I will do is take the end that is at the bottom of his foot and thread my needle and just pull that loose end to the inside. It's already tied off because we did that magic circle. So I'm just pulling it up to the inside, pulling it a little bit tight and cutting it off, and then that will hide inside there. So that completes one leg, and I've left this end to attach to Dobby. I'm going to go ahead and repeat on the second side. One of the most important things with these legs, and they were hard to do, so I hope you were patient with yourself. One of the most important things, though, is to just make sure they're the right length, the same length, because even if one seems a little wider than the other, you can always manipulate that yarn. Also, the pattern says to stuff the end, like down where the foot is a little bit. My material or my yarn was quite heavy compared to what might have come in the kit. So I would not have had room to stuff my little toes down there. So I'm not going to. Mine are nice and thick and pretty flat anyway. And then what we want to do is, you know how we made this pillow? And if you kind of roll that to the inside, you can see our stuffing and that first round of Dobby's tunic. So we're going to thread a leg, and we're going to go ahead and roll that back, and we're going to attach the leg to the inside of the tunic onto that first round that we did. And just go ahead and make sure that the front of your foot, the kind of the flat part, is facing the front of Dobby. And then stitch that on nice and tight, and we will do the same process with the other leg. Probably the hardest part here will be to be happy with yourself as you stitch it on, because you can see that it's a little bit hard to manipulate my needle through there and keep that foot facing forward. There's definitely a front and a back to this foot or to his leg. So you want to make sure that it's going to be up there nice and tight and solid. And so I'm going to take a few stitches down from the top as I move in and out with my tie-on thread. I don't want this leg to be dangling at all, I guess is what I'm trying to avoid. I want it to be on there solid with that foot facing the direction I want it to face. So it's going to take a few stitches for sure. And this might be a good time to have a longer needle, and mine has a fairly sharp point on it. It kind of allows me to stitch down in there, kind of reach in behind that outer fold and get through the yarn. So you can see how I have his leg on there fairly securely, but I'm still going to take a few more stitches because I want to be able to bring the outer part of his leg to the outside of his body. And again, your procedure for stitching on might look different than mine, and that's perfectly okay. Just be happy with the end result. It's really difficult to do this and keep it on camera for you guys. All right, that makes me much happier. And once I've finished that, Then I'll go ahead and take a few tie-off stitches so that I know it's not going to unravel. And then I'll just take the end, scoot it right through the body, pull it up somewhere in here and pull it tight so that there is no end that shows outside of his body. All right, one leg is on. Go ahead and throw that little piece of yarn away and thread your needle with the other leg. And do the same thing to repeat. Again, placement is everything, so make sure that your front of your Dobby leg is going to be pointed towards the front of your Dobby body. And it will be those first few stitches that are the hardest. Now you can see that my last stitch twisted my Dobby foot, so I have to take that last stitch out and start again because I want my Dobby leg facing the correct way. This really is easier in theory than it is in practice, so again, patience is key. I'm not sure what the best way to tackle this second foot is. I think if I can just get it in here and hold it straight, then I can get a couple stitches in and it will go easier. There we go. Remember, you want it to be on the inside stitching of your Dobby robe and not on the outside, so that when we're done, that little robe will cover the tops of these legs. That's the goal. If it looks like I'm struggling, it's because I am. And I keep splitting my yarn every time I pull it out of the needle by accident. It splits, so it makes it that much harder to thread my needle again. If you're using some of my affiliate links for needles, you'll be able to get some that have wider eyes. Makes it a little easier to thread the yarn. All right, so there I have both Dobby legs attached, and you can see that the outer part of Dobby's robe covers up the top of these legs, which that was our goal, friends. Take a couple more stitches to tie off the leg securely. Make a nice knot in there like I would if I were sewing with thread. And we'll just tuck that needle right up to the inside of the body, pull it tight, and clip it off. Perfect. All right, Dobby's legs are done. So we'll go ahead and start on the arms. Dobby's arms are going to be much easier. We're going to go ahead and start with that magic circle. Now, if you prefer to just chain 2 and start using a slip stitch, you're certainly welcome to do that. I just like the way that the magic circle looks. If I can get it going properly here. Come up underneath and grab that underneath part. And again, if you struggle with this, go ahead and check out the card above for that magic circle video. Chain 2 and then chain 6 within the circle. And once you have those 6 completed, you just go ahead and pull on the paper clip end, closes your circle right up. The reason the arms are going to be so much easier to do is because now all we do is chain around 1 single crochet in each stitch for a total of 8 rounds. So you've done this a million times. This will be quick and easy. The first couple rounds will be harder because they always are to get started, but you're just going to do 6 around, repeat that for 8 rounds. If you want to put a marker in there, you certainly can. I'm just going to count in my head for 6 stitches 7 more times. Okay, that's around 5, and it's getting a little bit easier to get into the stitches, so it does help as we build out. You kind of have to find a technique that works for you. When it's small like this, I find that it helps if I just use my hook and not my hands as much to find my stitches. The hook seems to kind of be an extension of my finger and do that on its own. So find your own technique and rhythm and flow to see what works best for you. Her pattern doesn't say how long this arm is going to end up being, so whatever looks right to you. If you feel like you need to go beyond those 8 rows of single stitching, you certainly can if you need for it to be a little bit longer. If not, then go ahead and stop at your 8 rows. The most important thing is to just make sure that both arms are the same length. And we won't even be stuffing the arms. They are pretty tight as it is, so it's a really small circle that we're working with. I think my arm is going to end up being about 1.5 inches. But again, yours might be a little bit different because your yarn might be different. You might be crocheting tighter or looser than I do. So again, the most important thing is to just make certain that you have both arms the same length. So I'm going to go ahead and leave a nice long length on there because we're going to sew that on. And stop the video here and go back and repeat the arm. Now that you have that second Dobby arm done, you know what to do. Go ahead and take that paper clip end and slide it into the arm, pull it out somewhere inside and clip it off. And that part is out of our way. We'll do the same thing with the other arm, leaving just one piece attached to secure our arm to our body. Your Dobby is looking so good. Let's just get these arms secured on and we'll make the sock and we'll be done with this little guy. So I'm just threading that long end that we left on the arm, and looking at his picture, it looks like his arms are secured right at the crease between the neck and his robe. So at whatever point you want to start that first stitch, I'm just going to come into the base of his neck and put mine in. Then go ahead and take another stitch or two in there to put the arm the way that it looks right on my Dobby. Each Dobby will be uniquely yours. So if your arm looks better in another location on Dobby, feel free to go ahead and place that arm any place that you like. The one caution is just make certain that you put the best side forward and stitch it tight so it can't be pulled off. A couple more stitches. And I think what I'll do, since I left a long enough tail, that looks really good. I like the placement. I'm going to take my pen, or my needle, I'm sorry, and just thread it right through his neck and move it to exactly the other side. By doing so, then I can make certain that the other arm is in the right spot that is directly across from the first arm. So I will not be needing this long piece. I'm going to unthread my needle, take my other arm, thread that long piece we left, put it right inside my arm and stitch it off because I won't be needing it. And I want it totally out of my way, and I don't want to go to the trouble of having to stitch it in and hide it. So taking care of that, throw that little piece away, come back and thread the piece I'm going to work with. And then again, choosing the part that I want to the front, I'll go ahead and take a stitch in the arm because I already have that stitch in the neck. And make those final stitches to secure his arm to his body. It's a very long video this time, but we're going to finish Dobby up on this one. So if you've stuck with me this far, great job. I know your Dobby's going to be looking amazing. Every stitch you place just kind of repositions his arm. So be wise in your placement so that you're happy with the end result. Finishing off my arm, I've taken all the stitches I want to take. I'm going to go ahead and tie it off with a couple of well-placed stitches in the back. You can see I still have a really long end, but I'm just going to weave that right up through his head, pull it tight, snip it off. Okay, we have completed Dobby. Now it's just a matter of working on the stocking, and for that I'm going to grab some black yarn and come right back. Stitching the sock is very similar to stitching Dobby's arm. We just won't make quite as many rounds. So again, you can slip stitch if you want, but I'm going to go ahead and start with a magic circle. And again, Dobby is yours. If you don't want to do black or you don't have black on hand, choose another color. I just happen to have some of this lightweight black yarn. So I've made my first 2 single crochets, and now I'm crocheting 6 within that circle. Once you've done that, go ahead and pull that circle tight, and we're just going to work a single crochet in each stitch around for the next 2 rows. Once you've completed 6 stitches on the first row, you're just going to make that second row with 6 stitches. 1 single crochet in each stitch. It's kind of just looking like a lump right now. We're just making a fat little circle. In the next 3 stitches, we're starting to decrease. So we insert, pull it back, insert into the next stitch, pull back, and pull through all 3 loops on our hook. And that's decreasing 2 stitches into 1. We're going to do that 2 more times. See if I can get the camera just a little closer for this next one. Give you a little better viewing experience. So you're going to insert, wrap, you end up with 2 hooks or 2 stitches on your hook, insert into that 3rd one and pull through all 3. And then single crochet in 3 stitches, and again we just kind of have to find our stitches. Kind of difficult when we're working with such a amigurumi area. Amigurumis can be very challenging. It's honestly a lot easier to make a blanket or something. But this is what you guys want. I'm happy to go through this adventure with you. Now we're just going to continue stitching around in a circle, basically 18 times. So I'm just going to move my stitches around that 6-stitch circle 3 times. Four more stitches for me. We're not going to stuff this. We're just going to go ahead and finish this off. And I'm just going to insert my needle, pull through both, and cut a length and just pull that on out, and that tightens it up and finishes it off. So the first thing I'm going to do before stitching this to my Dobby's arm is I'm going to take this first piece, the end that we started with that was on the paper clip. I'm just going to insert it back up into my stocking, cut it off so it's out of the way. Again, if you pull extra tight and cut right up against your work, then the tail sucks back into your work and you don't have a tail to see with that. Go ahead and use that end piece to attach to either arm of Dobby and you're done.